Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing my one-take wrap-up for the month of October. In case you have never seen on my channel, basically what I do for my wrap-up videos, I talk about everything that I read in the month and I do it all in one take because I hate editing videos. So let's get into what I read in October. Let's see if I can do this before my camera dies. So, in October, I feel like I had a pretty good reading month, and I just was really in the mood to read. So even if I didn't read a bunch of books, I just felt really good about all the books that I read. So first, I read The Duchess Steele by Tessa Dare. I was doing a little bit of historical romance, resurgence. I haven't read any historical romance all year, and The Duchess Steele, I adored. So this is a book about characters whose names I don't remember because I never do. The Duke of Ashbury and Emma, Emma is kind of a self-made woman because she's had to be. She ran away from home for good reason and has become a seamstress. She works for herself, she saves money, and she goes to the Duke's house to collect payment for a wedding dress that he had commissioned and they hadn't paid for, and she needed the money. So she goes to the house and he's like, well, you know, I don't need the dress anymore, but how about you just marry me instead, because I need a duchess and I'm tired of looking. So she's like, that's insane, you're crazy, but then agrees to it. So they have this deal. It's a marriage of convenience that she will bear an heir, and that's it. She will get a house out in the country and never have to see him again. But then obviously they fall in love. So it was so much fun. I definitely need to just read more historical as the year comes to an end, because I really neglected it this year and it's one of my favorite genres, so I need to read more. Next, the next three books, I did a little bit of a Percy Jackson readathon. I read Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, and The Battle of the Labyrinth, books 2, 3, and 4 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I am doing a reread on my Instagram, kind of just narrating my thoughts on each book, and I will be starting Heroes of Olympus probably pretty soon. Just because one, I love Percy Jackson so much, and as we go into the new show starting next month in December, just want to refresh my mind and re-fall in love with Percy Jackson. And oh my god, did I love rereading these books. I love the Percy Jackson books so much. I won't go into too much detail because I talk about them all on my Instagram. All the videos are posted. But Sea of Monsters was fun. We met Tyson. I love him. I totally forgot he was introduced so early in the story. And I loved getting to see that relationship develop. And then a big thing with The Titan's Curse and the Battle of the Labyrinth is, one, Percy and Annabeth's relationship develops. Not a lot, but enough that it's adorable and I love it. And then a really big thing is the introduction of Nico and his sister Bianca. But I had totally forgotten how, one, traumatic Bianca is, and two, how little of a part she actually plays in the story. Yes, her sacrifice is a big deal and it is a big part of the Titan's Curse, but I didn't really remember the details of it. But then yeah, Nico, I love him. It hurts. I cannot wait to go into Heroes of Olympus to get more of Nico and more of his story, so I can eventually get to Nico and Will's story that I currently can't even remember the name of. But these were all the books actually, Tessa Dare too, have all been 5 out of 5 stars. So I think this is why I just felt like I had a really good reading month, because I was rereading books that I really love. So next, I finished War Storm by Victoria Aveyard, which really brought it down, if I'm being honest. I read this book for 4 or 5 weeks. It took me a long time to finish, and I was just so frustrated because the first 3 books in this series, I've talked about them in all my wrap-ups, I really enjoyed. I had issues with some of the writing, but overall a very enjoyable series. But War Storm, I don't know what Victoria Aveyard was thinking or what she was doing, and I hate to insult a book like this, but by the end, I was like, what am I even reading? Who are these characters? Because they're not the characters I've been reading for the past 3 books. And that's not to say there weren't enjoyable pieces in Warstorm, that there wasn't ideas that I liked, but like the first bit of the conflict resolved way too quickly, and then the conflict that we were left with in the end didn't, like, there was no, it just was not, it was just not it. It just didn't work. It went way too fast, yet took way too long. The book was so long, and Mare didn't feel like Mare in this book, and so I really did not enjoy it very much. Next, I read Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I read this for my book club. I started a book club on Instagram. If you feel like looking into it, look at my Instagram page. It is linked down below. I liked this book. It was like kind of giving practical magic, but I don't know. I liked the vibes of this book, but I just feel like there was a lot of drama where there didn't need to be any drama. I was more interested in the like crime plot line than anything else, and I just feel like while I liked the crime, what actually ended up like being the whodunit at the end, I was like, all this for a bunch of apples. Like, all of this drama for a bunch of apples. That's what they were all fighting over, is the orchard for apples. That's what they grow in an orchard, right? Apples? Whatever. It was fine. It was an okay book. I'll probably never think about it again. Next, I read The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. Like I said, I was rereading Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I adored this book, of course. So much important things happen in this book. My favorite moment, probably of all the Percy Jackson books, is when Annabeth steps in front of the sword to keep Percy from being stabbed in the spot that connects him to the River Styx. So I loved it. It was so good. Beautiful. Can't wait for the Percy Jackson show. Next, to keep the Olympian vibes going, I read Lore Olympus Volume 1 by Rachel Smythe? How do you say that last name? I don't know. I really enjoyed it. There's a part of me that, and I think a lot of people who read Percy Jackson growing up experienced this, that like, in my head, the Greek mythology is not Greek mythology, it's Percy Jackson. And so I have a hard time sometimes disconnecting that these characters existed in their own right before Rick Riordan wrote about them. So there were parts I was like, well, Apollo would never do that. Apollo is funny and he's nice and he writes poems, but in this interpretation of Greek mythology, it's much different. So it was a little bit odd to get used to, but that's all doesn't matter because I adore Hades in this like graphic novel. It turns out even my super fast talking Lorelai Gilmore Girls inspired fit that I've been doing still was not enough. My camera died, but I just am gonna finish out this video because I only have one more book left to talk about on my phone rather than on my camera. So like I was saying before my camera rudely died, I loved Lore Olympus. It was really fun. It was kind of hard to get used to the idea of these characters not being the characters in Percy Jackson, but overall I really enjoyed it, and I really like Hades as a character, and I'm very interested to see how this relationship will develop with Persephone. I'm on volume 3, but what is also interesting to me is I went into this series like having heard of it, knowing it was a Hades and Persephone like retelling, but I assumed that Hades and Persephone would already be together at the start of the series, and they're not. So we get to kind of really see that relationship develop, which is really interesting, and I really enjoy it. If you have not read this and you've never heard anything about them, I highly recommend, but I will say trigger warning for sexual assault. She does also have triggers listed in the front if you do need those. So 5 out of 5 stars for that one. Next, the last book I read is Mr. October. I don't remember the author because it was on my phone and now I'm filming on my phone, but the novella that I chose to read on Halloween, Mr. October, it was actually really cute. I picked it just because it looked like, had a cute cover, and I wanted something like Halloween-y to read for that weekend, and this one was so good. Like, I wish it was a full-length novel. I really enjoyed these characters. It used one of my favorite tropes, and I think the best trope for novellas, and that is a friends to lovers, because then we have this established relationship already that you don't have to spend time building in a novella. So you already have chemistry and can fit more of the romance into a book that's only, 120 pages. So these two characters, whose names I don't remember and can't look on my phone, they are both teachers at a high school, and she is always getting pranked by the town because she gets scared easily, and so she decides she wants to finally get back, especially at her best friend, and she volunteers him to be in charge of the Halloween carnival, which apparently is like a horror, like, of responsibilities, is like so much work. So I'm just gonna make sure my dog doesn't eat my AirPods, and but then he was like, well, if I'm going to do this, you have to help me. So she does help him, and they plan to get back on all the other teachers that are, and all the other people that are always pranking her. So they set up a bunch of elaborate pranks. It's super funny. And in the meantime, you're in both of their heads about how much they love each other and won't confess because they don't want to ruin their friendship. And it was just so much fun. It was so good. The chemistry was really, really well written, of like the mutual pining, but neither one of the other one knows about it. So I just had a lot of fun, and just really enjoyed the characters. And sometimes novellas can be a real hit or miss because they have to pack a punch in a really short amount of time, and they have to convince you that these characters actually love each other, which isn't always the case, because sometimes it's really hard to do that in such a short amount of time. But I really, really enjoyed it, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the month of October. I don't know how many that was because I had all that stuff on my phone, so it's whatever. But yeah, overall a really good reading month. November has definitely started a bit slower, but I'm hoping I can, improve or something. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.